Hi and welcome and good afternoon. It's Jennifer Britton, and this is one of my lunch and learn calls. I've been hosting these over the last week and a half. I'll be doing one today. It is Thursday, March 26th. I'm going to do one tomorrow, and then we'll wrap these up and move back to our regular weekly Monday format. Those Monday calls are typically held at 11 a.m., 11 to 11:30, and it's been great to connect with so many coaches, professionals in the last couple of weeks to talk about how can you do your best work when working remote. And at least in this moment in time, I think that I heard the latest statistics that 3 billion people right now are being asked to work remote from home. And today, in fact, Thursday, March 26th, I'm in the middle of a virtual planning retreat. So many of you know that my work has been virtual over the last 16 years. One of my favorite activities that I run and host about once a month for different programs is a virtual retreat. We meet either at the top of the hour or at the bottom of the half hour, which is what we're doing today. And it is all about getting into action. In addition to my writing in the area of group and team coaching, I'm the author of Effective Virtual Conversations and also PlanDoTrack. And so today I wanted to earmark our call around business. Business is a key topic for so many of us, and keeping the business running is also important. Now, I'm very sensitive at this moment in time that everyone is at a different place. We're all being impacted by COVID-19 in many, many different ways. Here in Toronto, we've been inside for the better part of the last 2 weeks, but I know for so many of my colleagues, you're being buffeted right now. So I hope whenever you do find this, that you do find this to be a useful video, especially if you run a business. And this is really geared to business owners. And we are coming up for the end of the first quarter. I think in all that's happening, we're really forgetting that, in fact, one of our big checkpoints of the year is coming. This week's Remote Pathways blog post, if you head on over to remotepathways.com, is all about your Q1 checkpoint. And again, it's just a great opportunity for you to maybe carve out 30 minutes, 60 minutes to do some reflection on what you've achieved so far this year. Really wanted to ask you the question, like, what are you focusing on right now, right in this minute? And for our business, for my business, it's been extremely busy in the last few weeks. Obviously, as someone who writes in the area of virtual and remote, 6 billion people have had to do that in recent weeks. But my focus going forward is going to continue to focus in on equipping individuals, businesses, and entire teams to have better virtual conversations. We need to really build and continue to build the trust and connection. And with that, I'm continuing to focus on working with handfuls of coaches who are interested in scaling their work to groups, to teams, and also in the virtual space using the PlanDoTrack resource. Very privileged to have a small handful of PlanDoTrack facilitators that I've trained up in the last year. They're taking this work forward in many different ways across North America and even wider than that. So for those interested, catch up on the latest episodes at remotepathways.com. Our current episode that was released last week is Remote Pathway. Are you working remote? Are you working virtual? Are you working mobile? If you haven't yet downloaded a copy of the Remote Working White Paper, please do so. Share with your clients. It is geared to help people get up to speed quickly in the remote space. And that's going to be our episode 11. Michelle Mullins, my co-host, and I had actually recorded this a few weeks ago, and it really is about getting you going. Now, one thing I've touched on in the last couple of weeks is the importance of habits and routines. Wanted to give you an opportunity to think about what are the habits that are helping you right now? What are the new routines you might be establishing in your household or your business? I'm really glad that I had set this virtual retreat day, which is 4 hours, and it's an opportunity for us to stop, do some planning, then do some doing, and do some tracking. So really notice for the habits, that's about doing things. Many of you know that one of my favorite parts of the day is my own morning routine. There's been a lot of focus on morning routine in the past, but having worked in the Caribbean and Central and South America for many years, over the decade, I naturally wake up around 6 o'clock. And while that time has moved earlier, this week, last week, it's been 5:30 a.m. I get up, I get going, I get on the treadmill at 6 a.m. to do my walking because I can't walk outside like I normally would. Can't get to the pool, of course. But that habit I found has been an important part of just grounding into each and every day. And as a business owner, where there's immense pressure right now to keep the business moving, to keep on top of client support, as well as support for my family, habits are critical. So I'd like to invite you to think about what are the habits that are helping you right now? Are there some things that you are continuing to do, even if it's a bit of a struggle at times? What are the habits that are helping? And I'd invite you to really spend some time, whether you journal, whether you do other, to think through how can you be magnifying those habits. A big thing, and I've mentioned this in a couple of our last calls, something that probably you're noticing if you're a coach is just the focus and what people are doing in terms of focus. It's a lot harder for people to get into the focus. And this is where I think if we have habitual routines, that can help us. It can really get us into more of a focus on the here and now. So with that in mind, given that we are moving into the end of the next quarter, I want to leave a bit of a space and a place to focus in on our business. Business is the engine that keeps things going. And just as I've had conversation with in the last couple of weeks, yes, the platforms in which we are working have drastically changed and dramatically changed. For many organizations, now is the time to pivot in their business. And so I wanted to draw us into a couple of resources that I think might be useful for you if you are a business owner and if you are thinking about how do you pivot your business. And that's really the question, what needs to pivot at this time? Is your work continuing? Has your work totally changed? Have things been put off for 3 months or 6 months or 3 weeks? What is the pivot that is required for you right now? And just as we know, and a few years ago, a year and a half ago, as I was launching PlanDoTrack, I had a quote above my head here, which talked about visions help us through the ebbs and flows of life and business. And, it really helps with the turbulence. So one of the things we did today at the PlanDoTrack virtual retreat is revisit our vision. And I'd like to invite you to either join me for an upcoming virtual retreat or just take some time to vision. Think about what is your vision right now? What is your vision as it's emerging? As we know, visions should be there and big and bold. What is possible for you as a business? What is the mark you want to make in your work? Next week, I'll be holding a special open call for quarterly planning, as well as doing a month-end quarterly planning session that will be paid just $39 for you to join for an hour if you are interested. The key with vision is we want to get it out there. We want to get it big and bold. So a free resource for you to tap into is a quarterly reflection planning video. I will put that on. I'm just going to note this so I can link it here at YouTube. The quarterly planning video that I did last quarter. Grab a pen, grab a paper, think about what your achievements have been right now. Having worked in emergency response and disaster management for many years here in Canada and globally, I know how important it is that we lean into the musculature that we have developed. That has been a godsend for me personally, and I think for my family in recent weeks. And that has also pointed to core capabilities. Again, in times of disruption, what are the core capabilities that you as a business owner and you as a business bring? My invite is for you to think about how can you be moving forward, leaning into the things that you do well, right? In times of disruption, our strengths become our allies. What are the things you could be doing more of? If you're a great communicator, how can you be leveraging that? If you're a great networker, how can you be leaning into that? So what are the core capabilities you want to be known for? Here at Potentials Realized, our focus is all about virtual conversations. That doesn't mean talking at people. That means engaging you in the conversation. So given that today it's mostly me, I'm going to actually be stopping this recording in about 5 minutes, and then moving into a more interactive conversation. So core capabilities, think about that. And in going in hand, as you think about your virtual business, what are the areas that you might want to collaborate around? Again, if you don't have skills in certain areas like how to make technology work, is there an opportunity for you to collaborate with someone or another business to help you do the work? This is where we've been tapped quite a bit in recent weeks. Organizations saying, Jen, I need you to come in and do a session, or can you help us look at X, Y, or Z? As we boost skills and build skills, that's where collaboration can be an excellent way to magnify what you're able to do. So as you think about your virtual business focus, what is the collaboration opportunity going forward? What are you great at, but what do you need in order to move your business ahead? Maybe it's very technical information. Maybe it's equipping yourself with skills. I had a great day yesterday running a one-day virtual facilitation essentials. These are going to become almost every Wednesday happening. And it is a deep dive into virtual facilitation. Now, I'm not just talking about how do you design slides. I'm saying you get to go behind the dashboard, use the tools, figure out how to work on it. And that is key if you are a coach right now in keeping the conversations going. So think about how you might add skills as well as add people to your team to help you thrive in this next phase. Another key area as business gets disrupted is systems. It's an opportunity. Many folks that I've talked to have more time on their hands right now. And so is this a chance to revisit some of the systems that you have in place? I'm going to just get you for a moment to pause. And as I'm stepping away to grab a copy of PlanDoTrack, just think about the systems that are helping you in your business right now. Write down the top 3 things that are the systems that are helping you continue to keep things moving. Here in PlanDoTrack, section 3, I go into 5 business system areas that I think are really critical for coaches, for any small business. And these, again, if you have time, this may be a focus. If you don't have time, obviously not a priority, but if you do have some time, take a look at things like your sales and marketing. What are the sales and marketing focus areas? What is your strategy? What is the data saying, right? PlanDoTrack was named PlanDoTrack to really get you thinking about how do you track your results. So you might see sort of a flat line or a certain amount and then an up or a down in this last month. Part of virtual business planning right now is about looking at your metrics. What do the metrics say? What has happened with your sales over the last 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years? So from a systems perspective, if you have time, is now the time to be focusing in on your sales and marketing. Maybe you've always wanted to do a new web page or a new program. Perhaps that's a time, or maybe you're needing to react and transfer all of your in-person capabilities and programming into a hybrid or a virtual and remote space. That speaks to system number 2 that we go into, product and program services. Are there things that you currently offer that could be digitized, virtualized? Certainly, one of the things that's flying off the shelves at our store is the digital deck for Conversation Sparker. As a lot of coaches are realizing they need to and want to go online, luckily, about a year ago, I digitized the Conversation Sparker deck. So these are a series of cards that historically have been delivered to you in a hard copy format. Use them a lot. Now, these were digitized a year ago, so you can now get a digital copy so that you can incorporate them into your planning. You've seen also the virtual, the weekly journaling prompt cards as well. Just today, a number of sales have happened, and I think because people really enjoy looking at this in terms of what their focus is. So think about your core capabilities. What do you have? What do you have to offer from not only a sales and marketing, but also a product and program service base? Now may be the time to revisit your funnel. And if you have, and when I say funnel, I don't mean the funnel of outreach, I mean your funnel in terms of your business mix. What are the things, what are the elements you have that are going to help you move forward? We do want to make sure that we're using systems to leverage and scale our work. And this is where digitization, if you have products, can be a really great strategy at this moment in time. Another area, registration and customer onboarding and supports, right? For some businesses, business is ramping up. For others, there's time. So what are you doing when you invite a new customer as they come on board? How are you meeting with them? Yesterday, as we talked at the Virtual Facilitation Essentials, I was sharing a bunch of very practical things that I do as I onboard coaching clients, as I onboard people for virtual retreats, for corporate sessions. And again, that's where trust and connection is key. So what do you have in place? What are the agreements you send out? What are the emails? All of these things are things that we cover in other programs like Virtual Facilitation Essentials, Advanced Group and Team Coaching, and that helps to scale the work. So think about the systems, the outreach, your registration processes, as well as your financial systems. And that may be, again, another area that you can take advantage of having more time to look at how do you accept payments? How do you have online orders happening to keep the business running? This is critical. We need to keep business running if we are the one that is responsible for our families. And in my case, that is the case. So how are systems working all the time, whether you are online or you are not online? And the final one, number 5, final system is communication. Now is the time to communicate, 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 and to be very selective of the channels and the messages you're sending out. One of the things that I'm happy to have offered in this last 10 days was some real-time calls with coaches. I think many of you now are turning your attention over to your clients, and that's where I'm going to fade out and put focus again on many of the paid programs that we offer. The support needs are immense, and it's really important that we are in regular dialogue, regular conversation with our clients. Earlier this week, I did a corporate client engagement virtually, and we had over 80 people on the line. You could just tell how hungry people were for not only connection, but also focus and being heard and being part of a larger community. These are the things that we really focus in on at Virtual Facilitation Essentials. How do you shift a virtual call from a passive one-way into an interactive dialogue? So systems help us do that. Systems help my business keep moving, even when I'm running virtual retreats, doing virtual sessions for corporate clients, continuing along with one-on-one, a little bit of one-on-one coaching, but a lot of group coaching right now. And it really is in these moments of group coaching that we see that people are getting anchored and connected and feeling very strong and powerful. So virtual business, if you run a virtual business, probably at this stage you are still here. Revisit your vision. Think about your core capabilities, your superpowers, your strengths. What needs to pivot, if anything? What are your systems and how are they supporting you, right? Systems should be of support. They should help us automate and replicate things. If you're bringing people on board to help you out, how do you use those systems to really scale? And finally, how might you use collaboration? So I think that's going to be my focus for today. Please do check out Effective Virtual Conversations if you need a resource. More importantly, though, check out the 7-8 calls that I've done here in the last week. We've looked at trust and connection. We've looked at resources to support you. We've talked about keeping it simple and visual anchors, as well as remote enablers. It's been a privilege to really continue to support you in so many different ways. I'll be doing one more lunchtime call, and then as of Monday, March 30th, I will be reverting into just doing a couple of what I like to call book club calls. I am going to be starting some virtual readings from my book, Effective Virtual Conversations. If you can drop in live, great, but those are going to be readings, and I really want to bring more out into the world. So with that, be well, keep in touch. Let's connect either over at Effective Group Coach on Facebook or Remote Pathways. And with that, thanks for joining us today. Take care.